My father once told me across our dinner table in Phoenix, face steady and unbothered. Your sister deserves it. The house, the cash, the entire family company. I'm giving it all to Madison. Like I hadn't spent 14 years holding that business together with my own two hands. I walked away that night with nothing but my car and my dignity. This morning, after almost 2 years of silence, my phone lit up with a message from my mother. Mortgage is due. Can we talk? I almost laughed, right up until the second message came through, because whatever they were avoiding, whatever they were terrified of, had somehow circled right back to me. My name is Danielle, and for most of my life, I believed loyalty could fix anything a family tried to break, even the wounds everyone pretended weren't there. I grew up in a quiet cul-de-sac in Scottsdale, in a large adobe-style home my grandfather built after turning a modest HVAC shop into one of Arizona's most respected commercial service companies. People love to say our family represented grit and the American work ethic, but inside those sun-washed walls, everything revolved around one unspoken truth. Madison, the youngest, the pretty one, the golden child, was the rightful heir to everything. I learned that reality before I even knew the word favoritism. When I was 11, Dad had the company carpenters build Madison a custom backyard playhouse for her 6th birthday. 2 floors, painted pink, real shingles on the roof. That same year, I got a clearance rack skateboard from Walmart. No one explained it, but the lesson hung in the air thicker than Arizona dust after monsoon season. She mattered more. My mother brushed it off with her soft voice, saying, "Your father just has old-fashioned ideas." But those ideas followed me into high school, into college, into every corner of the family business where I tried to make my presence undeniable. While Madison hopped between friend groups and drifted through her classes, I studied late in my room, joined every leadership program I could find, and built a resume tailored to the company I hoped to help lead one day. I graduated with degrees in business administration and mechanical systems management. Madison eventually completed a communications degree after switching majors 4 times. When I joined the company full-time, I truly believed my father would finally see me. I was wrong. I arrived early, stayed late, learned every single department, from dispatch to installation scheduling. I knew every technician, every vendor, every maintenance contract renewal date by heart. Meanwhile, Madison was handed a glass-walled office, a vague job title, and a company card she used more than she understood. I still believed diligence would speak for itself. When a major hospital retrofit fell behind schedule and Madison conveniently left for a 4-week yoga retreat, I stepped in. I spent 7 weeks on site, 13 to 15 hours a day, reorganizing crews and negotiating revised timelines with subcontractors. We finished ahead of schedule. The project director shook my hand and said, "We wouldn't have pulled this off without you." Dad overheard, nodded, and answered, "The Stone girls know how to get things done." The sting of that plural girls, as if our contributions were interchangeable, stayed with me longer than I wish it had. But nothing prepared me for the night everything finally shattered. Mom invited my sister and me to dinner, saying Dad had an important announcement. I brought a bottle of his favorite bourbon, expecting maybe some kind of recognition, maybe even a plan for the future of the company. Instead, Dad lifted his glass toward Madison and announced he was transferring the company, the house, and the family investments to the rightful successor. He slid a single envelope toward me, 3 months of severance, and the company car I was already driving. I walked out with numb fingers and a pounding heart, packed what I could fit into my trunk, and drove north to Denver before sunrise. New state, new industry contacts, new beginning. I told myself I was rebuilding, not escaping. Moving to Denver didn't make things easy, but it made things honest. No legacy, no shadows, no reminders of everything I had poured myself into back home. Just crisp air, strangers, and a skyline that felt like a clean slate. I rented a small furnished apartment downtown, set a framed picture of my grandfather next to his first service van on my desk, and reminded myself every day that leaving wasn't failure. Starting my consulting firm in a city where no one knew my name meant swallowing pride and grinding from scratch. I cold called property managers, walked job sites in borrowed boots, attended networking events where no one cared who my father was, and spent nights rewriting proposals that never got a reply. But slowly things shifted. A mid-sized developer hired me to salvage a failing commercial upgrade. Then another property manager referred me, then another. Within a year, I had a steady client list and 2 part-time assistants, both women like me, overlooked in their old companies, and desperate to prove themselves. For the first time in my adult life, my work spoke for itself. And then the messages from Arizona began. The first came from our former neighbor, Mrs. Ellenson, who had watched me grow up. She wrote that the landscaping around our old house looked neglected, the stucco peeling, the lawn fading to brittle yellow. She mentioned that my parents had stopped renewing memberships, clubs, charities, even the community associations they once bragged about. She ended the email with, "Something feels wrong." I closed the email and didn't respond. A month later came another message, this one from Mike, the head technician who'd been with the company longer than I'd been alive. He wrote, "Danielle, I left today. Madison fired half the senior staff. Says she's cutting costs. Be careful if anyone contacts you. Things are unraveling." I deleted the message, though my stomach tightened. But more updates trickled through. A project manager said contracts were falling apart. A vendor said payments were consistently late. A contractor warned they were one delay away from being removed from a major project. Every message chipped at a part of my past I tried to bury. Still, I remained silent. It wasn't my fire anymore. Then, one night, sitting in my Denver office, reviewing specs for a renovation, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. A blurry screenshot of a group chat between former employees discussing unpaid wages and whether the company might collapse within weeks. Underneath it, "You should call your parents." I didn't. I sat in the dim office, city lights scattered across my window, and realized something I hadn't allowed myself to admit. The collapse I once feared wasn't coming. It was already here, and somewhere beneath the scar tissue, a part of me felt something sparking back to life. Leverage. The breaking point didn't arrive dramatically. It came quietly, on a Tuesday morning, while I reviewed equipment lead times for a bid. My phone buzzed once, just once. But the preview message stopped me cold. "Mortgage is due. Can we talk?" It was from my mother. I stared at the notification, blinking once, twice, as if doing so would somehow change the words on the screen. For nearly 2 years, my mother hadn't said anything real to me. Holiday emojis, polite birthday messages, nothing with weight, nothing with truth. And now she wanted to talk about a mortgage on a house that had been paid off for more than a decade before I ever left Arizona. A slow heat crawled up my spine. I set my tablet down, wiped my palms against my slacks, and read the message again. No apology, no acknowledgement of the night that cut me out of everything I'd built. Just a plea wrapped in avoidance. Without giving myself time to soften, I typed back, "Ask your heir." I hit send. No hesitation, no guilt. For once, I didn't cushion the truth. The typing bubbles appeared instantly, frantic, popping up and disappearing, popping up again, like she couldn't decide which words might keep me from walking away a second time. "Danielle, please don't be like this. We're in trouble. Your father won't admit it, but the company is..." I silenced my phone, tried to return to my work, but my thoughts kept circling the same point. A mortgage meant desperation. A mortgage meant they'd leveraged the one symbol they prized more than me. And if they were reaching out to the daughter they dismissed, things were worse than anyone had admitted. At 6:14 p.m., just as I packed my laptop, another notification lit up my screen. "Dad, call me, it's urgent." The last time he spoke to me, he told me Madison deserved everything I spent my adulthood building. I let the call ring out. Then a voicemail came through. Against my better judgment, I hit play. "Danielle, I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But the company is facing challenges. We're running out of options." He couldn't even say collapse. A long pause filled the recording before he said more quietly than I'd ever heard him, "We need your help." My throat tightened, not with sympathy, but with the whiplash of hearing the man who once threw me aside now sound small enough to beg. He had never needed me, not once. I had given and given and given. He had taken every minute of it for granted. Now he finally understood what it felt like to need someone who might not choose you back. I called him that night, not out of obligation, but out of clarity. "Before we say anything else," I said, "I want everything on the table. Every bill, every overdue payment, every contract, every loan, all of it. If you want my help, I need to see the truth." He exhaled, exhausted. He said, "Come home. We'll show you everything." Home. A strange word considering how quickly they shown me I didn't belong there. I didn't respond. I booked the flight for Friday, packed a small suitcase, and left my Denver apartment before sunrise. Whatever waited for me in Arizona, one thing was certain. This time, I wouldn't be walking in as the quiet daughter hoping to be noticed. I would be walking in with the leverage they never believed I would earn. I landed in Phoenix just after noon, the winter desert air sharp and dry as I stepped outside. The city always carried a weight for me, but this time it felt lighter, like the gravity had shifted, like I wasn't returning to them. I was returning to finish something that should have been finished years ago. I rented a car at the airport and drove the familiar route toward Scottsdale. As the neighborhoods opened out into long stretches of desert landscaping and sprawling homes, old memories rose without permission. The sound of my mother's Sunday routines, the faint lemon cleaner she used on the tile floors, Dad's thunderous voice whenever Madison did anything remotely impressive. But nothing prepared me for the house itself. The stucco was cracked, the windows dull. The yard, which was once the pride of the entire cul-de-sac, was brittle and brown. The absence of the family service van parked out front was louder than any bank notice. I stepped inside without knocking. The door wasn't even locked. The living room looked like a crime scene of financial negligence. Stacks of overdue payments, penalties, loan statements, contractor disputes, and red-stamped warnings covered the coffee table. My mother sat wringing her hands on the couch. My father paced behind her, shoulders caved inward, stripped of the confidence he once wore like armor. And Madison, tanned, perfectly styled, scrolling her phone like she'd been dragged into someone else's crisis, barely glanced up. My mother stood first. "Danielle, honey, don't. Not now. But not with cruelty. Not yet." Dad stopped pacing. "We appreciate you coming. Things escalated faster than expected." I set my bag down, pulled the stacks of documents toward me, and started scanning. The numbers were catastrophic. Missed payments, compounding penalties, delays so long they'd triggered breach of contract allegations. "You mortgaged the house," I said quietly. Dad swallowed. "The company needed cash flow, just temporary." "Is that what you told the bank?" I held up a red notice, because they don't seem to agree.
Madison finally looked up, annoyed. "Can we not do this right now? Dad said you're here to help, not criticize." I turned slowly toward her. "You think this is criticism?" Her smirk twitched. I picked up another stack. Expense summaries, travel charges, vendor statements. "Tell me, Madison, did you think no one would notice the flights billed as client development? The spa weekends? The resort retreats? The personal shopping trips?" Madison stiffened. "I was building relationships." "No," I said. "You were burning the company down and calling it networking." Dad cleared his throat. "Danielle." "No," I cut in. "We're not softening this." Mom looked between us, eyes filling with the kind of fear people get when the truth finally arrives. I flipped open one more folder. Loan agreements Madison has signed without understanding the terms. You didn't just drain the company, you drained their retirement. You jeopardized dozens of employees' incomes. And then, when the house you valued more than me fell into trouble, you contacted me because suddenly the daughter who didn't deserve anything was useful again. Dad winced. "Danielle, I know what You don't get to apologize yet," I said. "We're not done." Madison crossed her arms. "You always think you're perfect. You don't know what it's like to run a company." I laughed, short and sharp. "Madison, I ran it for 14 years. You just took the credit." Silence swallowed the room. I sat, folded my hands. "Let's get to why I'm here." Dad sighed. "We need a restructuring plan. The bank is threatening legal action. Clients have left. We thought if you returned in a leadership role, maybe COO, CFO? No." Mom blinked. "Sweetheart." "No," I repeated. "I'm not coming back as an employee. I'm not putting my name on anything while Madison keeps a title she never earned." Madison scoffed. "Excuse me?" "Quiet," I said. Not loudly, but with enough force that the room shifted. Dad's voice trembled. "What do you want, Danielle?" "I want controlling interests," I said. "Majority ownership. Full authority, operational, financial, strategic. Everything." Madison shot up. "Absolutely not. This is my company." Is it? I tilted my head. Because the bank seems to own more of it than you do. Dad rubbed his face. Danielle, majority is a big ask. So is rescuing a sinking ship, I replied. But I'm the only one here who's done it before. Mom's voice cracked. The company has been in the family. It will stay in the family, but under someone who can keep it alive. Madison looked to Dad. Don't let her do this. She left us. She gave up. Something inside me stilled. I didn't give up. I was pushed out. The night Dad told me I didn't deserve what I built. Dad closed his eyes. Shame flickered. Now you want me back. You need me back. But my help comes with terms. Dad swallowed. What terms? 1. Majority ownership. 2. Madison steps down from all operational and financial authority. 3. I choose the leadership team. 4. Complete transparency. 5. You don't interfere. Not once. Madison trembled with rage. You're ruining everything. No, I said. I'm saving it. Something you were never willing to do. Silence stretched long and thin. Dad finally whispered, if we say no, then you lose the house, the company, and every employee depending on you. And I walk away for good. Dad reached for a pen. Mom closed her eyes. Madison glared with a mixture of hatred and fear, but she signed. And just like that, the power I'd been denied my whole life slid into my hands with the stroke of ink. Saving the company wasn't glamorous. Early mornings on job sites where workers looked at me with cautious hope. Long nights rebuilding the systems Madison had wrecked. Phone calls to vendors asking for one more chance, with my name as the guarantee. I rehired everyone she'd pushed out. We rebuilt from the inside out. Transparent budgets, realistic timelines, quality checks that mattered. Madison stayed, but with limits. Client relations only. No cards, no decisions. Sometimes she sulked, sometimes she tried. None of it mattered. I absorbed none of her noise. By month 4, the bleeding stopped. By 6, we broke even. By 9, 2 clients cautiously came back. When we completed our first profitable quarter, Dad called and simply said, you did it. Not pride, not excuses, just the truth. My parents sold the house and moved somewhere smaller, quieter, humbled. I returned to Denver, hired a seasoned executive to run operations in Arizona, and walked into my office not as someone escaping, but as someone beginning again. One evening, as the sun hit the skyline, my phone buzzed. A message from Mom. Thank you for saving our legacy. I typed slowly. It was never about legacy. It was about doing what was right. Rescuing the company wasn't the victory. The real win was reclaiming my place in a story that once tried to erase me. I didn't return for forgiveness. I returned because dozens of families needed someone who valued integrity over pride. And maybe finally, my parents understood the difference. If you've ever had to fight for the respect you should have been given all along, you're not alone. Some of us don't learn to stand tall until someone forces us out the door. If this story meant something to you, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and drop a comment with your perspective or the lesson that hit you the hardest.